Hi, everybody. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Peter Llewellyn, and I run the services at MedComms and the associated website. So, information services, resources for people who work in and around medical communications, medical education, medical publishing, and the associated businesses across the globe. You'll find lots of information at MedCommsNetworking.com. I'd also give a shout out to those of you who are interested in getting a job in MedComms. I run a site called firstmedcommsjob.com, where you'll find lots of information, insights into the business, careers guides, webinars, and so on. Have a look at that. And for everybody at NetworkPharma TV, we've now got over 500 videos of one sort or another talking about all manner of things to do with MedCom. So lots of things to go and have a look at. I'm having a bit of fun at the moment talking to people across MedComs about their personal journeys. How did they find MedComs? How did they get into MedComs? What they're doing, and so on. So today, I'm absolutely delighted to have Grace with us. So, Grace, I'm not going to try and steal your thunder at all. Grace, who are you? Where are you? And tell us a little bit about your journey into MedComs. Over to you.
Yeah, sure. So I'm currently based in Manchester at the moment, originally from Bedfordshire. And I've literally just finished my degree in microbiology, so my BSc at the University of Leeds. So graduating in the summer. And about 2 months ago, I started as a medical content writer at a lovely company called Little Journey. And I'm also the founder and editor-in-chief at my own kind of business, I suppose you could call it, company, organization called Grace Writes. So that's kind of me in a nutshell, I guess.
Okay, so go back a little bit. At uni, what were you doing, and why did you start sort of looking at MedComs as a possible career?
Yeah, so I always had interest in science, so that's why I decided to do a kind of life sciences degree. And at school, I wasn't particularly interested in kind of lab work. And I thought, oh, maybe when I go to uni, I'll like it a bit more. I didn't. So I was like, right, what can I do? Become a teacher? No, there's actually a lot more out there. So I did a lot of research. I think it was my mum who first kind of mentioned medical writing to me. And back then you kind of needed a PhD to do it. And I was like, I'm not sure if I want to go all the way kind of academically. And then obviously more recently, a lot of companies have kind of been taking on just kind of people with undergraduate degrees. So about 2 years ago, I was looking into it a bit more. I was seeing, you've got kind of the traditional medcom side. There's what I call more of an alternative medcom side, kind of what I'm doing now, with more like content writing, copywriting. It just seemed like something that was good for me. I love talking to people, communicating. I love the science stuff. So it kind of just blended everything I enjoyed into one, I guess.
So it's interesting you touch on there and the point about whether you need a PhD or not. I mean, it's one of those eternal questions we're constantly arguing about. There's no doubt the more traditional medcoms type environment has tended to take on a lot of PhDs,
Yeah.
although it's always been true to say that people without PhDs have been taken on. But it's also true that there's a very broad range of activities under this medcoms banner, isn't there? I mean, just out of interest, because you are quite new into this,
Mm.
from the outside, how confusing was it when you sort of looked at medcoms, trying to understand what it was?
Yeah, I think that's always the hardest question is what is MedComs? I suppose when I was looking at traditionally, it was kind of the medical education side of things, and then like the more like regulatory writing. So I kind of could see that there was lots of different aspects to it, or lots of different ways to go into it. Um, and some of them seemed a little bit too serious for me, to be honest. So when I came,
Serious.
yeah, kind of serious writing, I kind of like communicating science to like lay audiences or people who
Right.
don't know too much about it, and kind of getting that awareness out there. Um, and so when I kind of came across this role with Little Journey, which is communicating science, but basically to like kids and young people and parents, that kind of seemed like something I'd be really interested in doing, basically. Yeah.
Okay. And just to give us a little bit of context here, did you apply to a number of agencies? I'm getting the impression actually you didn't. You just went for Little Journey. Is that right?
Yeah, so I obviously came to the MedComs Day last year and I met lots of
Right.
different
Yeah.
agencies. And I did have a lot of different agencies, so I did want to apply to who are more kind of traditional MedComs. And so I was going to kind of apply to those kind of the summer now or leading up to September, because obviously some of them have different times you can apply for different schemes. And then the Little Journey role just popped up on LinkedIn for me, so it was very kind of out of the blue.
Right.
And then ended up going that, and so it's my path kind of changed in the way I thought I was going to go along the medcoms route, I guess.
Right. No, that's interesting. And with Little Journey, were you faced with a writing test? What was the process to get in?
Yeah, so originally, because they had put full-time role and they advertised this in about March, and obviously I'm still at uni,
Mm.
so I just kind of sent them a message on their website, like really interested in this, but I'm still at university, so how would that kind of work? And my manager Libby, who's the editor in chief, just sent me a message on LinkedIn and said, it's cool that you're at uni. We can organise whether you start part-time or full-time if you get the role. You kind of send across your CV, cover letter. Can we organise an informal phone call? So I did that. We had the informal phone call. It's really just kind of chatty. She was interested in getting to know me, what I'd done at uni and things, and my year in industry as well. And then I had the kind of medical writing tests, I suppose you would call it. It's basically kind of 3 questions, one with kind of pick out the spelling and grammar mistakes, so kind of that attention to detail, a bit of editing, kind of rewriting things, and then kind of writing an original piece on a particular healthcare procedure that children have to go through. So again, kind of not your traditional medical writing test, but I really enjoyed it, which even kind of told me, oh yeah, this is kind of the thing I want to do. So it wasn't daunting by any means, and I had a week to do it in my own time as well.
Just sorry, just remind me because I was trying to think that your year in industry. What did you do in that year?
Yeah, so I worked for IPG Health Consulting. So they're originally McCann Health Consulting, or
Oh,
consulting at
okay.
McCann Health when I first started. So that was kind of like strategic consultancy with pharma companies and looking at different markets and drugs and working out the best ways to kind of put things out there. So I did a lot of kind of made a lot of presentations because I had experience in video editing. I made a few videos and things like that as well. So it was kind of bordering MedComms, obviously a little bit different thing because
Right.
it's more the consultancy side. So that's kind of, I was like, I like some of this stuff, but I think the MedComms route is the way for me to go. So it was good because I kind of worked out what I liked and what I didn't like.
Exactly. I mean, that's quite interesting, isn't it? You got a very good year's experience there,
Hmm,
as you say, not quite in medcoms, but alongside it, and part of an agency type environment and so on. So you'd have got
absolutely.
quite good insight in there. So come back to what you've actually done with Little Journey, though. So just tell us a little bit more about the company and what you're doing on a sort of day-to-day basis.
Yeah, sure. So Little Journey are kind of a digital platform, predominantly an app, that support children going into hospitals for healthcare procedures, and also their families and their parents as well, as I mentioned previously. So the app kind of consists around animations, kind of telling the children what to expect. We've got different kind of characters. We've got like animals for the younger kids, kind of 3 to 7 year olds, and then just kind of more kind of normal characters for the older age group, which is 8 to 12. So they see these animations, find out what's going to happen. There's also parent information articles for the parents so they can keep track of everything. Other things like checklists of what to put in a hospital bag, fasting guidelines. So it's kind of just removing that uncertainty so that both the children and their families aren't as anxious going in for healthcare procedures. So that's kind of the main goal, really, is to kind of reduce that uncertainty and anxiety. And then basically what I do is write the storylines for those animations, write the parent information articles. I also do some work for the marketing team, so writing some blog posts, editing blog posts, things like that. So it's quite varied, which I really like.
Okay, and then that it must be quite nice. Well, must be quite nice. Is it quite nice to be working on something that's so directly involved with the patient sort of thing?
Yeah, absolutely. I've always loved working with children as well. So in the past, I did kind of sports coaching and teaching and mentoring. And when COVID first hit, I did some tutoring for science students and made some kind of like GCSE A-level biology videos on YouTube. So I always loved kind of working with children as well as the science and communication side. So it basically kind of fits together all my 3 loves of kind of science, communication, I'm helping and supporting children. And obviously it's great to support their parents and families as well.
Exactly. Okay, so I'm also interested in the other side of what you do as well. I think Grace Wrights is the
Mhm.
is the name you operate under. I mean, it's quite interesting to me that someone um, as new to the business as you, as it were, is as enthusiastic and supportive of people who want to come into MedCom. So, you've got the bug, and now you want to share your enthusiasm. Just tell us a little bit about that. What are you doing? How are you doing it? How can people get in touch with you? Because you're offering quite a lot of advice to people who are looking to get into the business, aren't you?
Yeah, absolutely. So, as I mentioned previously, when kind of COVID hit, I started making kind of like science videos for young people. And I've always kind of enjoyed supporting kind of peers or younger people and students and things like that. And then I also started as an employability intern at my uni about a year after that. So I had lots of questions from people about kind of CVs and cover letters. And then when I became kind of a little bit more active and followed on LinkedIn, I had a lot of questions from people like, oh, I see you know a lot about MedComms. How do I get in? What do I do? I was just getting a lot of questions about these things. So I was like, right, I need kind of one place just to put everything. So I just came up with the decision to do a website because I tried doing YouTube videos and stuff in the past, but obviously it's a lot of work, and the main thing was to get the information out there basically. So I'm by no means saying that I'm an expert in MedComms, because like you pointed out, I've been in it for about 2 months. But I spent a good 2 years doing a lot of research, attending kind of events like the MedComms day, researching different agencies. So I did kind of have a little bit of knowledge around that. So that's kind of one of the blogs, is kind of MedComms map, as we call it, kind of getting into MedComms, basically signposting to different resources like NetworkPharma and things like that, and different organizations, different videos that you guys have produced, like the MedComms mentor as well. So it's just basically signposting people to that information so that they can find out a bit more about MedComms. And then we've got Science Snapshot, which is the science articles, interesting science and health and disease things. And then the other one is Workflow Weekly, which is basically like career support. So kind of how I mentioned previously about like CVs, cover letters, things like that. Explaining the importance, especially when you're applying for a writing role, of ensuring your CV and cover letter are up to standard. It's kind of your first impression of you when you what am I trying to say, the organization's first impression of you. So lots of different things going on. So kind of supporting people with the content, and then the other side of it is I have a really lovely team of kind of voluntary aspirational writers. So they get to choose the topics they want to write about. A lot of them it's science, so they choose different science and health topics. They write the articles, not particularly long, kind of 500 words or 1,000-ish. I give them feedback, and they give me kind of a second draft, and then I'll edit and it'll go up on the website. So then they get kind of their writing published, they get practice, and it kind of helps them, if they want to, get into kind of writing roles, whether that's medical writing or just writing in general. So it's been really nice kind of being able to get that content out there to help lots of people, and then also have a little growing team of writers who can practice their work as well.
That's quite an array of activity. Well done. Just out of interest, and to finish on, and I'm putting you on the spot here slightly, I know, but if you meet somebody in the street, I don't know, and they're interested in what you're doing as a medical writer in MedComms sort of business, you got any tips that you can just, what are the first couple of tips you give them to be thinking about to get in?
Definitely just don't be afraid to reach out to people. Like when I was applying for year in industries, because I was originally kind of looking for kind of medical writing year in industries, and that's not really a big thing at all. So I was literally going on LinkedIn, messaging medical writers or like talent people at these agencies and saying kind of a bit about me, saying what I'm interested in. And I got there was one company who got back to me and said, we used to do a placement year, we don't anymore, but we'd be willing to start it up back again just for you, basically. Right. So I obviously didn't end up going with them in the end because I went with IPG Health, but just by speaking to people, you create so many opportunities. And again, with LinkedIn, just building your personal brand, posting about what you're interested in. I think that's the main thing. I always get messages from people saying, oh, shall I message this person or this organization or not, or will something bad happen? I'm like, no, just go for it. The worst thing that can happen is they say, sorry, we can't help you, but we'll add you to our talent list or reach out to us in the future. I just think there's nothing bad that can happen from just talking to people, whether that's in person and attending events like the MedComms Day or over LinkedIn and things like that.
Yeah. No, I concur with that. I think that's people can reach out a lot more than they actually do in practice, sort of thing. And it's that scary bit of what are they going to think? Well, actually, they're either going to be too busy to take any notice, and you've got to sort of accept the fact they might not get back to you at all, or they'll be impressed that you're reaching out and they will try, because we're a friendly bunch of people. They'll try and help, sort of thing. So the networking is really important. Okay, look, it's really interesting listening to you talking. I'm delighted that you've got your job and it's working out so well. Your enthusiasm comes over, which is brilliant. So I wish you all the luck in the world in the coming years in MedComms,
Thank you
both
so
within
much.
MedComms, but also the support you're giving other people. That's absolutely inspirational. So thank you very much.
Thank
So I'm going to
you.
say a big thank you. Anybody wants to contact you, I know I can say for you, contact you via LinkedIn is the easy way. And a huge thank you. Take care and just give us a little wave and we'll say goodbye. Bye bye.
Yeah, thanks. Bye.